G'day guys, and today I want to do something a little different. Now I've signed myself up for this little fundraising charity gig down in Sydney, whereas I'm going to abseil off one of the skyscrapers down there and people can, tag along and donate money and sponsor me and that sort of thing. So rather than browbeating you guys and begging for donations and things like that, I'd rather sort of broaden the topic and make it a little less me specific and talk about the concept of voluntarism. So what exactly do I mean by voluntarism? Well, what I mean is that voluntarism to me is taking time, out of your day, sacrificing a bit of your own time, a bit of your own money, etc., to help someone else out. For example, I am not going to go to work this day. I'm going to spend a bunch of money promoting this fundraising and buying the fundraising. This does cost a bit of money. Going up there and abseiling down a building, which will be honestly terrifying because I'm not very good with heights, in order to provide some money for mental health services and drug addiction services for young people in Australia. This desire, this want to help out other people, regardless of our own benefit or wants or anything like that, this selfless act I think is very important for living in a free society. Assuming we want to, I'm going to go ahead and assume you all want to live in a free society. Communists, please go away. In a free society, there will be no state to take care of us. We will have to rely on ourselves and each other. And of course, you should always look out for yourself first. When an aeroplane goes down, the oxygen masks fall down, put it on your own face first before you help someone out. Because you can't really help someone out if you're floundering. You cannot save a drowning person if you yourself are drowning at the same time. And this leads into me talking a bit about the welfare state. Now, I was going to make a video on how much welfare Australia chucks out, but that would be more of an angry rant, and I feel this might be more productive. If we think of the welfare market, so to speak, we have private charities and then we have the state. So they essentially do the same thing, except they can't compete on even levels because the state has unlimited power and unlimited money through fiat currency, and a private company is limited to sensible real money. They can borrow, but they have to pay it back. The government can borrow and then basically never pay it back. So in our modern society, why do people, when they need income assistance, food assistance, housing assistance, why do they run to the state instead of any existing private charities more often? There's certainly more money flowing through the state, and that's the lucrative aspect of it. You can get more out of the state than you can out of private charities. This is, of course, as mentioned, due to the state playing around with fiat currency and magic money that doesn't make any sense. So if we incorrectly look at the welfare market as a free market, the private sector will never be able to compete with the state, as people will of course gravitate towards free shit rather than putting some effort in. People generally take the path of least resistance. This is why I believe we don't see as many private charities around today as existed in the past, because they cannot compete with the state. Why on earth would you bother starting a charity when the state does it for you? And this is a big problem. The state essentially has a de facto monopoly on helping people out, on charity and assistance. The $1,000 I want to raise for this drug addiction and mental health service is nothing compared to money the state throws out. Off the top of my head, I believe 5 people on income assistance would be given more money than in 1 week. So in 1 week, the government will throw out more than $1,000 to just 5 people only on income assistance. That's to say nothing of such thing as housing assistance, for example. So how do we break apart this monopoly? Well, the state's never going to give it up. The government will never give up its power to redistribute enormous amounts of money, because they can use that to reward their voters and punish their enemies. So the state is not going to solve the state's problems. The people, I believe, who are dependent on the state will never solve the state's problems, because that's just like getting yourself a nice plate of food and then throwing it out your window. You're not going to do that. So they're not going to vote against their own best interest. I believe what we're going to have to do is look not for a political solution, but a cultural one. If everyone on a cultural level gravitated towards private charities, then by necessity the welfare state could be pressured to shrink, because it's like, hey, why are we putting all this money into it when no one's using it? Or the state might even, who knows, shrink it on its own. It's like, hey, look, there's not much people picking up welfare. Let's sort of roll it back and put money into whatever, education. Who cares? This is why I believe it is important to foster the spirit of voluntarism. I believe if everyone sort of had this mindset of, okay, I've attended to my own needs, now I can attend to others, and just take a little bit of time out of their day, just even if it's simple as just using the internet. Internet, of course, great tool for this sort of thing. Taking the time, taking the 5 minutes to look up, charity, donate, $5, easy. And if that's all you're willing to do, that's totally fine. You've done, it's better than nothing. It's not a zero-sum game. You've helped someone out, $5, that might go towards a counseling session or Alcoholics Anonymous or anything like that. So necessarily just using the internet and being a couch potato voluntarist isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you do want to go above and beyond this, like me, I'm not really content just to sit down and slap $5 in and, that's it. I do want to see sort of the fruits of my labors firsthand. I am that sort of person. I'd like to get out there and do stuff. And what I want to do with this abseil and other things I want to do is just to influence people. I want to inspire people and just stand up and say, hey, I'm 18 years old, I'm nothing special. Look how easy I can do this. And if I can show people how easy it is to sort of be this active, voluntaristic person who helps people out, it's not that hard. Look, all I had to do was sign up and do this shit. And this is easy. All I did was print out some flyers and I put them here and I went on a fun run and stuff like that. Just to demonstrate to people just how easy it is to give charity in the private sector. I am fully aware that this could be a very long and arduous journey. This will be a cultural shift. It's not going to happen maybe within my lifetime, but if I can, help chip away at it, I'm happy for that. I understand that we're at a massive disadvantage. We're definitely near rock bottom. It's the lucrative power the state can just shovel so much money and free shit. It's going to be really hard to break people off that drug, and it certainly is a drug of free shit. The drug of free shit. But what the state cannot offer is a sense of sort of personality. The state doesn't have a personality. It's just sort of this blank monolith that sort of takes in people, churns them, and feeds out money and steals and horrible stuff like that. But if I, approach someone and I can communicate with them and they can look at me, they're actually looking at a human face, rather than someone behind a desk or a piece of paper or something online telling you what to do and just sucking you dry with money and things like that. We can have these, one-to-one or one-to-group sort of interpersonal relationships with people. And honestly, it's tricky to put a value on that sort of thing. It is valueless, the experiences you can have with other people. The state, I believe, will never be able to simulate reasonably this experience. So in conclusion, we're never going to win against the state on a fiscal matter. We can't just wave dollar bills after people and hope for the best because we can't compete against the unlimited monetary power of the state. What we need to do is foster a culture of willingness to help out other people based entirely on no personal gain for yourself. Like, I'm just going to help this person out of the goodness of my heart. And I believe we don't have that anymore. We don't have this sense of community. We don't want to help out each other anymore. We don't know who our neighbors are. We don't have a community. And if you don't have a community, you have no one to rely on other than your family. But, if the family's in trouble or your family's dead and you're older and things like that, you need to be able to rely on your community. So I definitely encourage people to get out there and commit acts of voluntarism. Let's help people out, even if it is, as I've said, as easy as just clicking a donate button and putting in $5. Or if you want to do something mental and cool and abseil down a building or do an Ironman or a colour run or something like that, then all the better. And we can use the internet to sort of spread this like never before. Of course, internet, amazing tool. We can use it to promote our goals. We can use it to make donating easier. We can save so much labor, is what I'm saying. Spreading the message has never been easier. I thank you all for taking the time today, and have a good one.